Hey, everybody, good morning. It is Wednesday. Um, May 8th? May 8th, holy crap, 2024. Just give me a couple of seconds to get a couple of things sorted out. I got to share the link to social media. So, and Buddy's trying to say hi. Come here, Buddy. Come say hi to everybody. This is my cat. This is Buddy. His full name is Johnny Buddykins Cage. It's a Mortal Kombat reference. Sometimes we call him Buddy. Sometimes I call him Mr. Kins when he's being a snot. Right now he's being good. He's just wants some attention. All right, let's go ahead and share the link to social media so we can go get on with our news and topics and whatnot. So the Stephanie Bri Show is a podcast I used to do. Excuse me. A while back. Think of it as just sort of a regular old talk show, I guess. News and rumors, topics, but with a LGBT slant and a hardcore focus on games, comic books, and nerd culture stuff. So a lot of fun stuff coming. Just give me a couple seconds to share the link real quick. And I'll go ahead and get in. First things first, going to be talking a little bit about the beef, Drake and Kendrick Lamar. I got, thoughts. So I've been avoiding it for the most part, but I have friends and my girlfriend in particular, shout out to her, New Weps. You'll find her on social media. She's amazing. I love her. She's been all over it and keeping me informed on the backstory and whatnot. I'm coming at it from the perspective of someone who lived through, I should say, the infamous Tupac and Biggie beef. I was there when it happened, so I watched it on the news. Tupac actually was murdered or shot on my fucking birthday. So yeah, the Tupac beef is a part of my life in a roundabout way. But also, I was listening to the motherfucker back in the day. So, yeah. But as y'all know, if you pay attention to this show, and there will be music topics as well, I don't give a fuck about Notorious Fat Ass. And I'm going to contend that nobody fucking knew who he was until he fucking died. I didn't even fucking know who he was until he died. I had to look him up. This was before the internet. I had to like literally scour. Hello. I had to scour my CD collection, on the liner notes, where they have the featuring, et cetera, et cetera. I had one song out of like 30 CDs that Notorious Fat Ass was on, and it was a Debrat song, by the way. So yeah, when he sang the song "You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You," he was fucking talking about his dumbass. Anyways, we'll get to the Drake and Kendrick shit in a minute. I got to finish sharing these links real quick. But yeah, the death row stuff. Oh yeah. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of either Drake or Kendrick. I've heard Kendrick on Compton. I own the CD Compton. He can spit some lyrics and he's good. He's a part of the Dr. Dre family. The West Coast G-Funk, which is my bread and butter when it comes to rap music. But I was not enamored by To Pimp a Butterfly. Everybody was like, this is the greatest West Coast gangster rap CD ever made. And I listened to it and I was like, I don't know. I've heard Doggy Style. I've heard Dog Food. I've heard, All Eyes on Me. Am I going to diss To Pimp a Butterfly? No, I'm not that stupid. But also, it wasn't what I was looking for in a G-Funk album, but I do respect his story and his skills and the impact it had on, the music industry as a whole, but also the West Coast stuff, because in the 90s, the West Coast, East Coast beef was like, it was a big fucking deal. People were like, taking sides and killing each other over it. God damn it. Which is fucking dumb. So I will plug the phone in because it needs to charge. I wish there was no fucking copyright strike bullshit, because I'd like to put some music on the Spotify in the background and let it play. But unfortunately, if I do that, this video will get deleted. So I don't want to do that. All right, so let's talk for a couple minutes. And by the way, the time frame for this show, I'm allocating at least 2 hours to the show, because I got a lot of news and rumors I want to get through, and I've got a topic. I've structured it in a way that I have different topics for different categories. So we're gonna have a horror section, we're gonna have a video game section, comic book section, etc. That's how I've structured the show. Pretty much similar to how I did it when it was just a audio podcast. So let's talk a little bit about Drake and Kendrick Lamar. As far as I can tell, the beef basically started with one of them, and I don't give a shit which one it was, saying that we're the best, and the other guy was like, don't put my name in your mouth, and feelings got hurt, and then the beef escalated from there. That's the gist of it. The most recent alleged news, or we'll say rumor at this point, related to the beef is there was a drive-by shooting at Drake's house yesterday in Toronto, and the internet, as well as some news sites, are speculating it may have something to do with the beef. Now, at best, it's probably an eccentric fan or somebody who was like, on Kendrick's side, we'll say. But it could be fucking anybody. It could be a right-winger that heard he was a pedophile and is like, hey, he's a pedophile, let's fucking kill him. It could be fucking money. It could be fucking a drug dealer. It could be fucking anybody. We don't know yet. And I'm not going to speculate on it. I'm just going to say, hey, look, shots were fired. Maybe we need to both sit down and say, all right, let's not let this turn into a Tupac ordeal. Let's just calm the fuck down. Declared Kendrick the winner because he fucking murdered Drake on that last track. We can all agree on that. And Drake's reply was, boo-hoo. Fuck off, Drake. Full disclosure, I've never heard a Drake song in my life, and I never will. I know Drake as a character from Degrassi. Yes, I did watch Degrassi, The Next Generation. I knew him from that. I have no disrespect for Drake at all, none whatsoever. He just doesn't exist in my universe. I just don't care. So this will probably be the last time I bring up the so-called beef, unless one of them actually does get killed. Like if Drake gets shot, yeah, I'll be talking about that. If Kendrick gets shot, I'll be fucking talking about that. For damn sure. All right, let's get this motherfucker started. We have a top story in the news section. And it's coming, this one is actually coming from Game Informer, but it was pretty much on every news site. And it is, Nintendo says it will reveal Switch successor by March 2025, but not at the Nintendo Direct next month. Yeah. The Nintendo says the Switch will come in the next fiscal year, which ends March 31st. The company says there will be no mention of this during the Nintendo Direct. It's holding in June. The Switch has sold an additional 1.96 million units since the last Direct. Okay. And its total sales is 141 motherfucking Switch units. God damn. I pre-ordered my Switch. I had it at launch day. Unfortunately, when the shit hit the fan back when, things were going south in my life right before the pandemic hit, and I lost my house, I had to sell my Switch and all my fucking video games to pay rent and then, sell my house and then move into a place in fucking Dallas, Texas, which is not cheap. So, full disclosure, I did not get rid of my Switch for any, bullshit reason, because I know I shit on Nintendo a lot. I fucking love Nintendo, and I love the Switch. I have a lot of personal animosity towards Nintendo because I was a diehard Nintendo fan during the GameCube years, the Wii years, and the Wii U years. And if you were fucking all about Nintendo during the 2 years the Wii U was actually relevant before it became a fucking joke, it was painful. It was fucking painful because the Wii U, my God. Yeah, it had some great games, but they were all Nintendo games, and you got like one game every 4 months. It was very fucking painful. Yeah, looking back on it, it's like, yeah, they had so many games. Why didn't people like it? Yeah, all those, we had like 12 games that came out in 4 years. Now space that out over 4 months at a time. You're sitting there with one game, and you're like, all right, where's the next game? Oh, I gotta wait for it. It was like the fucking Nintendo 64 all over again. Only a lot worse because none of the third parties that made the Nintendo 64 great were there for the Wii U. Don't get me wrong, I love the Wii U. But Nintendo's doing fine, and there's a new Switch coming. All right, also from Game Informer, but it was also on everybody. But I opened Game Informer first because it was the first in the Google results. Xbox is shutting down Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, and more. So this says Alpha Dog Games, which is behind last year's Mighty Doom, is being closed as well, according to the report. Roundhouse Games is also affected, but it will be absorbed by the Elder Scrolls Online team, ZeniMax Online Studios. Tango has confirmed the news online with a thank you to its fans, blah, blah, blah. All right. So Microsoft bought up like everybody in the video game industry, just about. And then they're shutting them all down, exactly as people expected they would fucking do. So fuck you, Microsoft. This one's from Game Informer, but I saw it on a couple other places. I thought it was fun. It's the Nintendo Switch's top 10 best-selling games. It was the first game I bought for the Switch. It was the first game everybody buys for the Switch. Just about. Number 2 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Oh, by the way, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 62 million units, just about. Animal Crossing New Horizons, 45 million units. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, 34 million units. Breath of the Wild, 31 million. Super Mario Odyssey, 27 million. Come on, Mario, pick up the goddamn pace. Super Mario Odyssey, 28 million, just about. It's like 3 million shy of 28. Pokemon Sword and Shield, 26 million. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, 24 million. Super Mario Party, 20 million. Tears of the Kingdom, 20 million. And New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, 17 million. So out of those games, I had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I sold my Switch before Animal Crossing and before Ultimate came out. I had Breath of the Wild. It was cool. I loved Odyssey. I'm not into Pokemon, so I didn't own any of those. I didn't get Super Mario Party. I don't think it was out by the time I sold my Switch. So obviously Tears of the Kingdom and New Super Mario Deluxe were also not out by the time I sold my Switch. So I never got to play those games. If I ever get the money or one of you awesome people want to be generous and send me a Switch, I'd get another one. But I'm broke as shit right now, so that ain't happening. Also from Game Informer, and this one I was very impressed by. Nintendo Switch surpasses 140 million units, making it officially the best-selling Nintendo home console ever. And it's very close to becoming the best-selling Nintendo handheld ever as well. It's inching up on the Nintendo DS. So, it sold, I just said, 1.96 million units in the last, quarter or something like that. The DS sold 154 million units, so it's close. It's very close to beating the DS. Super Mario Wonder has sold 11.96 million units. And Pikmin 4 has sold 3 million units. I'm sad about that. I love Pikmin. I'll throw some shade out there. Pikmin is the greatest fucking new Nintendo franchise to come out in the last 20 years. Next to Splatoon and ARMS. And goddamn it, if they don't keep ARMS going, assholes, if you have a Switch, go buy ARMS, goddamn it. We need an ARMS 2. I'll buy a new Switch for ARMS 2. I'll sell my PS4 for that. Well, maybe my PS3 because I don't play it. I do play the PS. Well, fuck it. I'll sell the PS4 and just get Minecraft for the Switch. Whatever. All right. Game Informer also. PlayStation walks back controversial, that's my word. Helldivers 2 changes. PSN account linking no longer required. I'm just going to say fuck you, Sony, for being assholes and move on. All right. Activision Blizzard, this is from GameSpot, owes $23 million over multiplayer patent infringements for Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. One of the reasons Microsoft purchased Blizzard was because it's the company behind Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. The franchises are the reason behind the hefty fine. This is coming from Reuters. They say a federal jury in Delaware has ruled that Activision Blizzard violated patents held by a company called Acceleration Bay relating to multiplayer features in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and World of Warcraft. The jury also decided that Activision Blizzard owes $23.4 million in damages. The patents are simultaneous sharing of information between widely distributed computers. That sounds very vague. I don't know. It sounds like they're just punishing Microsoft for buying everything. To me, I'm not taking Microsoft's side or Blizzard's side, but that's very fucking vague. That's like saying, yeah, we own the patent to internet servers. No, you don't. The internet servers have been around for fucking 60 years. God damn it. Anyways, moving on. This is also from GameSpot. This is Patty Jenkins says DC isn't interested in making Wonder Woman movies. Even though Wonder Woman 84 wasn't well received, I know it sucks. Wonder Woman 84 was awesome. I don't know why people didn't like it. Wonder Woman 3 was still going to happen with director Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot back in the role. That changed in December 22 after James Gunn and Peter Safran were named co-CEOs of DC Studios. They announced a complete cinematic reboot, and Wonder Woman may not factor into their plans at all, according to Patty Jenkins. That's very disappointing. Fuck you guys. Did you not see the box office numbers for Barbie? Women want superhero movies and comic book movies and movies, about us. So, fuck off. This is also from GameSpot. Mattel's Matchbox movie reportedly, this is rumors, I guess, brings on Extraction director. Sam Hargrave has been allegedly tapped to direct the Matchbox movie. Following the success of Barbie, their words, but it's true, Mattel Films is making a movie based on its line of Matchbox toy cars. I didn't know about that, but that's why I opened this article, because I want to talk about that for a second. I fucking love Matchbox. I have at least 300 Matchbox cars sitting in a bucket somewhere, and probably 700 or 800 Hot Wheels in that same bucket, and exactly one Johnny Lightning. But that's because Johnny Lightnings are dope as fuck, but they're goddamn expensive. I'm not paying $8 for a fucking Hot Wheel car. I ain't doing it. Fuck you, Johnny Lightning. Great quality, but lower the price a bit. $5. Get him down to $5. I'll buy more Johnny Lightning. I ain't paying $8 for a Johnny Lightning. All right, moving on. GameSpot also says Marvel boss admits company released too many movies and TV shows. Well, fucking my cat could have told you that, goddammit. Jesus Christ. Fucking oversaturated market is the reason why I refuse to watch superhero shit anymore, and I'm the fucking target demographic for superhero shit. I didn't even watch the Batman, and Batman is my favorite superhero. I'm just burned out on this shit. All right, it says, speaking to Empire, D. Esposito said, it's been a rough time, before adding that he believes this July's Deadpool and Wolverine could help Marvel find its footing again. I doubt it. I mean, people will see it, but I ain't fucking watching it. Well, that's partially because I fucking hate Wolverine. He's my least favorite, most hated X-Man. And if Deadpool were considered an X-Man, I hate him more. I hate Deadpool. I did not like that Deadpool movie. I hate it when they fucking break the fourth wall. I hate that in movies. Don't fucking do that. Don't take me out of the goddamn movie. The reason I'm watching a movie is because I want to get out of this world that sucks into a world that sucks less. And when you remind me that I'm in the shit universe, that pisses me off because it fucks with my escapism. This one's coming from Kotaku. This says Microsoft tried to, quote, steal Little Big Planet from Sony. Okay, according to Media Molecule's co-founder Mark Healy, the creative director on Little Big Planet, its sequel Dreams, Early in its creation, Microsoft was, quote, on the prowl and trying to steal the game from Sony. It says that Sony had funded 6 months of Little Big Planet's development after being blown away by an early pitch. Xbox tried to step in and grab the game post Game Developer Conference 2007. Is GDC even still a thing? I know E3, rest in peace, is dead and buried, but I need to find out if GDC is still going. He says, after we showed Little Big Planet demo at GDC, someone from Microsoft was on the prowl and they were kind of trying to steal us, if you like, from going with Sony. And technically, we could have done that. We could have been like, yeah, fuck it, let's go with Microsoft. They're probably going to give us a load of money. Ha! Good thing you didn't. They would have sold the game and then shut your ass down. So, you made the right call there, dude. Fuck Microsoft. No, don't fuck Microsoft as a company. Just fuck Microsoft in the video game space. Because Windows is dope as fuck. We're all on Windows computers. Well, some of us might be on Linux computers, but if you're on an Apple Mac, I'm so sorry. Get off the fucking Mac. Get a Windows or a Linux. Get off the fucking Mac. I guess I should probably bring up the comments in case people are talking to me. I apologize for that. Right, Nintendo is only going to announce it within this, quote, fiscal year. There's no news yet on when it will release. All right, this is also coming from Kotaku. It says the live-action Legend of Zelda movie is aiming for a, quote, more grounded style. Director Wes Ball says he's aiming for something real, following on from his Planet of the Apes entry. Zelda, blah, 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 blah. Filmmaker has recently made it clear that his vision is something grounded and real, eschewing the director's more CG-focused past. He explained that his intention for Zelda movie is a real emphasis on live action as opposed to motion-capped, computer-generated characters. He said that other approach probably isn't his choice. He's primarily known for Maze Runner trilogy. Never heard of it. And he's working on Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I actually will see that. Probably in theaters. I've seen all of the new Planet of the Apes films in theaters. They're fucking awesome. All right, so I don't know what that means. I guess it just pretty much means they're going to use less CGI and more practical effects, I guess. That could be interesting. It's going to make the budget go up, but whatever. Here's another one from Kotaku. It says, 10 years ago, Sony redefined the modern console war. Yeah, we know this. It starts off with PS3 has no games, blah, blah, blah. Well, it actually has more than 700. But don't tell that to 2013's memes, blah, blah, blah. A decade ago, Sony's PS3 began its descent into twilight once its successor PS4 was scheduled for release on November 15th. Stumbled out the gate. Microsoft's Xbox 360 did much more better for a long time. Yeah, we know this. We lived through it. Yeah, if you don't remember, the PS3 was like ghost town for the first 2 years of its life. It felt like a fucking Nintendo console. It was like, where are the goddamn games? They're over there on the other guys. And in this case, it was Sony was the Nintendo stand-in, and Nintendo was the Sony stand-in with the fucking Wii fucking killing it. There you go. This is from Game Rant. It says, Nintendo hitting its Switch goals will put it within striking distance of the PS2. Nintendo Switch sales projections suggest it could surpass the PlayStation 2 for the highest selling console of all time. Nintendo's goal of selling 13.5 million more units this fiscal year could bring the Switch extremely close to the PS2's all-time record. What is the PS2's all-time record? I'm not seeing it listed. Well, that's shitty reporting. Who are you? Game Rant? That's shitty reporting. I'm trying to find the numbers, but I'm not seeing them. Oh, here it is. The PS2 sold 155 million units since the year 2000. Holy shit. All right. All right, this one is from Games Radar. I don't even know who they are. It just says William Shatner is open to returning to Star Trek as a quote de-aged Captain Kirk, as long as it's not just to make a cameo appearance. This one's for my Star Trek fans, sci-fi fans. He says it's an intriguing idea. He told the Canadian press, "It's almost impossible, but if it was a great role and so well written, and if there were a reason to be there, not just to make a cameo appearance, but if there were a genuine reason for the character appearing, I might consider it." He would play a younger version of the character with the aid of de-aging technology. If a body company wants to freeze my body and my brain for the future, that might be a way of going about it, he said. Holy shit. We've got Captain Kirk's brain frozen here. There's a scenario. Let's see if we can bring him back. A little bit of this, a little salt, a little pepper. Oh, look. Here comes Captain Kirk. I used to be kind of sort of a pseudo Star Trek fan, and I know that's complicated. I have complicated feelings about Star Trek, but I basically lost interest midway through The Next Generation, and Star Trek has been, for all intents and purposes, dead to me basically ever since. The movies, hit or miss, but the TV shows, not that interested. I lost my place. All right, never mind. Engadget, Nintendo blitzes GitHub with over 8,000 emulator-related DMC takedowns. This is the shit right here is the reason why I'm not so much a cheerleader for Nintendo these days. It says they contain code from the Yuzu Switch emulator. Nintendo sent a DMCA notice for over 8,000 GitHub repositories hosting code from the Yuzu Switch emulator, which the Zelda maker previously described as enabling piracy at a colossal scale. They said Zelda maker in reference to Nintendo. The sweeping takedown comes 2 months after Yuzu's creators quickly settled a lawsuit with Nintendo and its notoriously trigger-happy legal team for $2.4 million. It says the source code contained in the repos illegally circumvents Nintendo's technological protection measures and runs illegal copies of Switch games. GitHub wrote on the notice that developers will have time to change their content before it's disabled, in keeping with its developer-friendly approach and branding. The Microsoft-owned platform, oh dear, also offered legal resources and guidance on submitting DMCA counter notices. Nintendo, this is the shit Nintendo, the scummy shit Nintendo does that pisses me off. Why do they fucking care? The people that are going to emulate the Switch were never going to buy the Switch in the first place. They're not going to. They're not even going to buy a used one 10 years from now. Leave them alone. Go away. This is from Wired. This is kind of a, quote, feature story. I just wanted to read a little bit of it. It says, the rise of Pal World, how Pokemon with guns became an overnight hit. And it says, Pocket Pair's Pal World has ridden a wave of internet-fueled fascination to 5 million games sold and thousands of Twitch streams. Despite the nickname, Pal World is more open-world survival game than a traditional creature collector, where you're better off if you eat your Pokemons when no other food is readily available. You'll need to build a base camp, blah, blah, blah. My girlfriend plays Pal World. She also loves Pokemon. I think there's room in the universe for both games to exist. It's fine. I think it's great that Pal World is doing well. If I had a computer that could run it, I would absolutely play it. It looks fucking awesome, but my computer's a piece of shit. I need a new one. By the way, if you go to the chat section, chat tab, I have a GoFundMe for that, but it's all right. Here we go. Also coming from Wired, it says mass layoffs are causing big problems in the video games industry. More than 1/3 of video game developers were impacted by layoffs in 2023, according to a new survey. With AI automation looming, the industry is facing an outflow of talent. This is very fucking bullshit. All right, I can't get rid of the please subscribe deal, so I can't read the rest of this article. I didn't know Wired was a paid website. All right, so I won't be using them as a source anymore. Nintendo Life. The Nintendo Museum is now complete, scheduled to open in the fall. All right, the Nintendo Museum building in Kyoto, which was originally scheduled for completion in March, is now finished and is scheduled to open in autumn 2024. This is according to information included in Nintendo's latest fiscal results. What is the Nintendo Museum? It doesn't really give us information. That's cool that there's a Nintendo Museum in Japan if you want to go check it out. That sounds cool. This one is from comicbook.com. This is our WWE news for the episode. It just says Randy Orton details surprise WWE retirement plans. It says he left the ring in May 22 to heal some wear and tear on his back. Blah, blah, blah. Orton was advised to never wrestle again. Instead of calling it a career, Orton got to work, spending 18 months recovering and eventually returned to the ring in November 23, showing up at Survivor Series. He says, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have thought I was close to the end because I had spinal fusion about a year and a half ago. That changed the game. He goes on to say, I had been in pain through my entire 30s and was hurting. I was begging for time off when I was 35. I think Vince, fuck him, to me was, Mother Nature gets us all. That's hard to hear when you're 35 and your back hurts and you're busting your ass for this company. There have been some changes. Now, I think instead of pushing the guys and running them into the ground until they fall apart, there's a great atmosphere of how can we make this guy last. As far how long he hopes to last between the ropes, Orton has a definitive milestone in mind. At 44, I would love to be able to go until my 50s. Maybe I wrestle until I'm 50 and call it, Orton suggested. That's 30 years. 30 years with the same company on top. It feels like now is the perfect environment for me to thrive. Blah, blah, blah. There's more stuff there. You can go check it out. This one is coming from CNN, and it says Deadpool and Wolverine movie will feature a canine, that's a dog if you're uncultured, is a character voted Britain's, quote, ugliest dog, according to Ryan Reynolds. Dogpool, a canine companion to the Merc with a Mouth, will figure in the supercharged sequel this July, and Reynolds is sharing some new details about the dog behind the character. Her real name is Peggy, he says, and she won the award for Britain's ugliest dog, he told Empire Magazine in an article published on Tuesday. The reason why I was a huge proponent for her was because she feels like the animal manifestation of Deadpool's alter ego, Wade Wilson. I don't think it's an ugly dog at all, and I'm not even a dog person. This one also comes from CNN. This one's a little sadder news. It says Titanic and Lord of the Rings actor Bernard Hill has died. So, British actor Bernard Hill, best known for his supporting roles in Titanic and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, has died. It is with the greatest sadness that we must announce that Bernard Hill, renowned actor, blah, 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 passed away. At the age of 79, he was with his fiancée Allison and his son Gabrielle. Hill found fame in his home country, starting in 1982's Boys from the Black Stuff. Never heard of it. It was the smaller roles lending quiet dignity to some of the most successful films in cinema history that he will be most familiar to audiences. In Titanic, he plays the ship's captain, Edward Smith, as a man haunted by his role in the tragedy and ultimately resigned to his fate. He later appeared in 2 parts of Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings series as Theoden, King of Rohan, who in The Two Towers is manipulated by his advisor before becoming a heroic leader in The Return of the King. I haven't seen none of the Lord of the Rings shit in like 20 years. And I haven't seen Titanic since it was new. I watched it. I hated it. I moved on now. This one comes from the Associated Press. Just going to read the headline and skim through it. Boy Scouts of America is rebranding. Here's why they're now named Scouting America. I like this because it's gender neutral. After more than a century, Boy Scouts of America is rebranding as Scouting America. It sends this really strong message to everyone in America that they can come to this program. They can bring their authentic self. They can be who they are, and they will be welcomed here, said Roger Crone, who took over last fall as president and chief executive officer. The change was announced Tuesday at the Boy Scouts National Meeting in Florida, but won't take effect until February 2025. Why they're changing the name puts a focus on inclusivity, Crone told the AP, that they wanted a name going forward that made clear that all children and teens are very, very welcome. When questioned about it, the move, he said something about historically low membership numbers. All right, so they're trying to be a little bit more modern and inclusive, and I'm here for that. All right, this one is a little bit more off the beaten path. This comes from NPR. It's basically a little fun science article I thought I would read. It says Venus and Earth used to look, quote, like twin planets. Here's what happened. No, I'm not going to donate. Sorry, I'm broke. Okay, it says, ask which planet in the solar system is Earth's closest sibling. Many would point to Mars. It orbits near, blah, blah, blah. NASA has sent rovers to its surface. But there are planetary scientists who would tell you to look in the other direction. Venus. Scientists who study Venus affectionately call themselves Venusians. They like to refer to Venus as Earth's twin. Martha Gilmore is a proud Venusian and a professor of Earth and Environmental Sciences at Wesleyan University. She says that in the past, our planet would not have looked so different from its two neighbors. If you were an alien visiting our solar system 4 billion years ago, you would see 3 rocky planets, each of one had oceans, Gilmore says. Those planets, Earth, Mars, and Venus, look very different from each other today. Blah, blah, blah. But that's not an exaggeration. 10 probes that have made it to Venus' surface, none of them have lasted more than 2 hours. Venus experiences temperatures over 800 degrees Fahrenheit and pressures that are more than 75 times that of what we experience on Earth. So what happened to those ancient oceans? All right. Temperature and pressure on Venus set apart. Gilmore says these differences. All right, this is a pretty good article. You can go read it yourself. I think it's really awesome. It's on NPR. If you're into science stuff, I wish we would put more money into exploring Venus, because if we could, use our climate change experience that we're, scientists are using here on Earth, we could probably terraform Venus a whole hell of a lot easier than we could terraform Mars. Why we're so focused on Mars when it's so much further away is fucking beyond me. I'm not against Mars or anything. I think it's cool, but whatever. All right, this one is also from NPR. It says Panera says it will stop serving charged sips drinks at center of lawsuit. It is discontinuing its charged sips drinks that were tied to at least 2 wrongful death lawsuits due to their high caffeine content. I saw some. I think it was a food. What was Matt Pat's food channel called? Food Theory. I think I saw a Food Theory video on it. Anyways, pretty dangerous stuff. This is another sad article, but I wanted to read it because it's, comic book newsy. It says pioneering stunt woman Jeannie Epper of Wonder Woman and Charlie Angels dies. In the 1970s, when Wonder Woman, the Bionic Woman, or Charlie's Angels outran villains, crashed through windows, or leaped over obstacles, it was really Jeannie Epper dressed up as a superhero. The groundbreaking Hollywood stunt woman's career lasted more than 70 years across 150 films and TV shows. She passed away of natural causes at her home at 83 years old. All right. And that is all we have for news and rumors today. So let's go ahead and bring up the topics list, and let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. So I have down for movies discussion. So our topics are going to be movies, comic books, retail, video games, food, music, and then random thoughts. So for my movie discussion, we have the Avengers films. I just rewatched all of the Avengers films like a week ago, all 4 of them. And I have a lot of thoughts, but I also have some issues with the Avengers films. First of all, I'm a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love it in general. I think it's great for comic book fans and bringing in new comic book fans, which is what its intended purpose was. Also making boatloads of money, Titanic-sized boatloads of money for Disney, but whatever. However, my major gripe with the MCU is there's too goddamn much content. And there's so much shit you have to watch, or else the movies don't work. And I hate that. So each individual franchise, the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America, Ant-Man, what was the big one? Black Panther, they should all be watchable as self-contained franchises. You should be able to just sit and watch the 3 Captain America movies and get a complete story, but you can't. You can watch Captain America 1, it's a complete movie, and then you go to watch Captain America, The Winter Soldier, you're like, wait, there's shit going on here that I'm not familiar with. But by the time you get to Civil War, you're like, what the fuck happened? It's not even in the same story. None of it makes any goddamn sense. You have to have already seen Spider-Man and Iron Man and a couple of Avengers and Thor movies for it to make a lick of sense. Even Ant-Man, for it to make a lick of sense. And that's like a lot of goddamn work. However, there are 2, and only 2, Marvel MCU franchises within the greater franchise that I can argue you can watch independent of the entire saga. You can watch the 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies and not watch a different MCU movie, and you're gonna pretty much get the entire Guardians of the Galaxy story. In my experience, limited experience, you can also do the same thing with the Ant-Man movies, because the 2 Ant-Man movies really, the Ant-Man character pops up in the other Avengers stuff, but like the other Avengers stuff doesn't really affect Ant-Man. Full disclosure, I haven't seen The Marvels or Shai-Chi or whatever it was called, Shanghai or whatever it was called, the Doctor Strange spinoff, and I haven't seen the Black Panther movies, so I can't say for sure. I haven't gotten to them yet. There's just too many goddamn movies to watch, so I can't say for sure if those ones work or not. The Avengers, on the other hand, the flagship, also the Iron Man movies, you kind of can. Iron Man 1 and 2, you can almost watch together without any ties to the rest of the franchise, but you can't watch Iron Man 3 without at least having seen the Avengers. It won't work. However, the Avengers franchise, the flagship franchise of the entire MCU, fucking is unwatchable as a independent franchise. You cannot watch Avengers, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and Endgame back to back as movies without having seen previously or within the watch several other non-Avengers movies. You have to have already seen at least the Guardians of the Galaxy, possibly both. You have to have already seen Ant-Man and Spider-Man. You have to have already seen Civil War. And you probably already have to have seen The Winter Soldier, although I would put that one as you could probably go without seeing it. For this one, you would probably have to have seen Black Panther for that one to make sense. What's going on in Wakanda? There's just so much other shit you have to watch to be able to enjoy the Avengers films. Now, this goes back to the comic books themselves, which is why I want to bitch about the MCU right now. Comic books have always been interconnected, but they've always existed within their own readership. You could always just read every issue of the Fantastic Four and never have to stray outside of the Fantastic Four to get what's going on in the Fantastic Four. The same thing with the Avengers, the same thing with Spider-Man, X-Men, etc. The exception to this rule is the major event crossovers like the Infinity War, Secret Wars, shit like that. Whenever there's like universe shattering, events, yeah, you kind of have to read at least the main titles in the event, like Avengers, Spider-Man, X-Men, etc. So yes, the MCU as a whole does not work as a comic book, like a comic book franchise. Rather, it works as a whole as the Infinity Saga. And it only works as the Infinity Saga, as a mega world changing event, which it is. It leads up to Endgame, which is why post Endgame, nothing has worked post Endgame. And the reason for that is you can't repeat that twice. You can't do, in comic books, you can do one earth-shattering major crossover event that affects the entire comic book in-universe mythos like once a decade. You can't do it every fucking year. You can't just keep doing it. Which is why it doesn't work in films, because it takes 10 years of movies to build up to a big epic like that. And that doesn't work in comic books. You can do an issue of a comic book every month, twice a month, once a week. You can churn comic books out rather quickly. Blockbusters, if they were putting out a new Marvel movie every month for 10 years, we would have got burned out sooner than we did. Now let's talk about the films themselves. Let's start with the first Avengers movie. The first Avengers movie, you could almost just watch as an Avengers movie and just get the gist of what's going on without having seen the other films. Now, having seen the other films gives you more of the backstory and build up in what's going on. Who are these characters? What's their motivations? Why is this happening? Who the fuck is Loki? Etc. Or you could just watch the movie and be like, all right, this is fun, and have fun with it. The first Avengers movie was obviously a big deal among cinema fans because it was the first time the Avengers were all brought together on film. It was huge. Everybody watched it in theaters. I watched it in theaters. True story. Out of all the MCU movies, the only ones I've seen in theaters is all four of the Avengers. I've seen all four in the theaters. I've seen The Winter Soldier in theaters, and I saw the first Thor in theaters. The rest of them, no, and I saw the second Spider-Man in theaters. The rest of them, I'll wait for them to pop up on Disney Plus or get the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. I'm not like gonna go pay $25 to see fucking Ant-Man in the cinema. I ain't gonna fucking do it. That'll never happen. All right. The first Avengers movie has a fairly cohesive story, very interesting plot, compelling villain. But when you take it apart as a whole, looking back at it through hindsight, it's less effective because the movie builds up Loki as this big, bad, badass, world-conquering motherfucker. And by the end of the MCU, once you get to Endgame, he's just another fucking dude. He's fucking Joe Smith at the Quickie Mart. He's fucking nobody by the time we get in the grand scheme of things, by the time we get to Endgame. And I don't, that's kind of like how in Mortal Kombat 1, Shang Tsung is like the big boss you have to defeat to win the game. But in Mortal Kombat 2, he's just another playable character. By the time you get to Mortal Kombat fucking 11, who fucking cares? Shang Tsung is the guy nobody plays because his superpower is I can be whoever I want to be. You don't pick Shang Tsung because he can literally just turn into whoever you want him to be, and all you're going to do is turn him into your favorite character anyways. You're not going to play Shang Tsung. You're just going to pick your favorite character. So that's my analogy of how worthless Loki became later on in the franchise, even though he was allegedly the big bad in the first Avengers movie. Which, in that first Avengers movie, they did make him out to be a god of terror and a world conqueror. But then he just becomes a pussy by the end of the series. Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, this is the first one in the franchise, in the whole MCU franchise, that actually takes a stab at making political commentary. you could almost argue there was political commentary in the first Avenger, Captain America. That was a lot of go USA, kick Nazis ass commentary. We've been hearing that for 70 years. We don't need it anymore. We already know how America whooped the Nazis' ass in World War II. You know, we waved the flag every 4th of July because of it. Well, also other shit. But yeah, we know we didn't need a movie telling us, reminding us. Anyways, that was my fucking high school history class. I'm over it. I've heard it. I know the story. Anyways, also First Avenger, that was a boring ass fucking movie. Don't watch it. It's not worth your time. You don't need it. Captain America just shows up in the Avengers, and that's good. You don't need to know his backstory. They tell you his backstory throughout the movies, so you don't need to watch that shit. Age of Ultron, however, does bring up some interesting, within the context of the film's political commentary. Namely, these they are financed and sanctioned by the U.S. government, but they're not a part of NATO technically. So you have American super weapons, basically weapons of mass destruction, invading Sokovia because there are American terrorist combatant enemies in Sokovia, even though Sokovia didn't ask for the U.S. Weapons of mass destruction to come into their back door, which is basically what the Avengers are. The Hulk is a weapon of mass destruction. That is undebatable. That's exactly what he is. And he was literally paid for, trained, sanctioned, and sent out in the world by the U.S. by the approval of the U.S. government. Until, that is, the events of, I believe it was Civil War, where the Avengers broke up and went rogue. At that point, they were akin to the Confederacy, the U.S. soldiers breaking apart to form their own new country, which is a topic we're not going to get into. But anyways, Age of Ultron, great movie. I love Ultron as a villain because he's not like a world-conquering motherfucker who wants to, like Thanos, who wants to destroy the universe, basically, or Loki, who wants to be the god of all gods. He's just a dude that legitimately thinks humanity would be better off, or excuse me, the Earth would be better off if humans went extinct. He's not wrong, actually. He's not that wrong. But anyways, however, the Age of Ultron also introduces Vision to the mythos. And I cry every time he picks up the hammer. I'm like, God damn it, man. They shouldn't have killed Vision. I know that's, foreshadowing, but god damn, he was like the best of us. He should have fucking... No, I'm not even getting into it. You could watch Avengers without seeing anything that comes before it. But if you're watching Age of Ultron and you didn't already see the Winter Soldier, you're fucking lost. You're like, what the fuck is Hydra? Who the fuck are these guys? What happened to S.H.I.E.L.D.? Why are the Avengers... What's going on? You can't do it. You have to see the Winter Soldier before you watch Age of Ultron, and that's my gripe with this. Now, I will argue the minimal you can get away with at this point, the minimal watch... You could watch the Avengers without seeing anything else, but you have to see the Winter Soldier, bare minimum. And I would argue, and I know this goes against the grain, you probably should have also already seen Iron Man 3 before you watch Age of Ultron, because that gives us why the fuck Tony Stark is doing what he's doing. Because without that, you're like, what happened to him from the Avengers? Why did he change from Avengers to Ultron? Why did he change? What changed about him? Well, New York changed him, but you don't know how deeply it changed him unless you watch Iron Man 3. Moving on, this is where it really gets fucking complicated. We have the Infinity War. Now, as a movie, the Infinity War takes it up a notch, like 7 or 8 notches, to be fair. And it brings in fucking everybody. So Infinity War, you've got, Thanos. You've got stuff that was mentioned or referenced or shown in Guardians of the Galaxy. stuff that was referenced in Ant-Man and Black Panther and Spider-Man and Civil War and so fucking Doctor Strange. The movie doesn't make sense if you don't know who the fuck Doctor Strange is. He's just a dude. You're like, why is this? Who the fuck is this asshole? And what is he doing? And what's that thing on his neck? You don't know who the fuck he is unless you've seen Doctor Strange. Not a terrible movie, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Just not one I want to rewatch. But anyways, moving on. Infinity War as a movie is, to me, the most egregious. We'll get to Endgame in a second. It's the most egregious because you have to have seen fucking so many other movies. At least Ant-Man. At least Civil War. At least one of the Thor movies. At least, probably, you would have to at least seen Ragnarok. At minimum. And plus the previous two Avengers. Plus, what was that one that you had to, I said the Winter Soldier, you would have to already seen that. Plus at least one or two of the Guardians of the Galaxy, plus Doctor Strange, I've already said. Maybe Captain Marvel. Fucking just too much. It's too goddamn much. Just for a fucking third Avengers movie. Now, I don't have any major issues aside from that gripe with Infinity War. I think it works really well as a film. And I think if you've seen Ragnarok, you understand why Hulk is like, sorry, buddy, I'm taking a nap right now and not willing to show up, and leaves Banner, on his own. It fucking makes sense. Then we get to what do you fucking call it? Endgame. I will dial it back a second, and I'm not going to say Endgame is that egregious as Infinity War, because once you've seen Infinity War, you can jump right into Endgame. You can skip all the shit in between Infinity War and Endgame, because none of it really impacts Endgame. A lot of it's just side quest stuff you can do without. All of it, pretty much. Because, except for Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's the only new movie between Infinity War and Endgame you have to watch, more or less, for Endgame to make sense. But you can still just chalk it up to, oh, she's just another random cosmic being who showed up. Because Loki just showed up in Thor, no explanation. So, you could pretty much get away with it, I guess. Now, I didn't talk that much about Infinity War. As a movie, it's great. I love it. It's one I'll rewatch like all the fucking time. But Endgame is where it's at. Like, if I'm in the mood for the Avengers, I either just pop in the original Avengers if I'm not going to do the marathon or the mini marathon, or I'm going to jump in straight into Endgame, skipping all the bullshit. Because Endgame is what we're here for. It's what they were building up for. It's after you've already seen all the other shit, you don't need to go back and rewatch it all. You can just jump right into Endgame. You're good to go. You already know what's happening. You're caught up. You've seen it. I'm still going to cry at Endgame, but not because of what happens at the end of the movie. Just because, because they still didn't get Vision back. And that pisses me. That breaks my heart. It breaks my heart for the Scarlet Witch, who is one of my favorite X-Men characters. And yes, to me, she's an X-Men character, not an Avengers character. Fuck you, Marvel, and whoever it was it Fox or whoever it was that kept her out of the X-Men films. Fuck you guys. She should have been the big bad in at least one of the X-Men films. And she could, after the events of Multiverse of Madness, she could be one of the villains in a future MCU X-Men film if they know what they're fucking doing, but all evidence suggests they don't know what the fuck they're doing now. They fucking shot their load and now they're spent. They're like, all right, we can't go again, but we'll try. And they can't get it up. Well, they're trying, they're rubbing, but it ain't getting solid. And we're all like, all right, this is boring. Let's move on. Do something else. Let's see what DC's doing. Nothing? All right. What's Indiana Jones doing? Oh, geriatric Indy? No thanks. All right, Barbie it is. That's where we are as a sci-fi culture. Okay. Let's move on to our comic book topic. The comic book topic for the week is, are digital comics still worth it? A few years ago, when I was a television producer and I owned my own house and I made buttloads of money and I was well off, I subscribed to all three of the major digital comic subscription platforms. I had DC Universe, Marvel Unlimited, and Comixology. I would have had the Archie Comics digital subscription, except for all the Archie stuff is available on Comixology, so that would have been superfluous and a waste of money. I desperately would have subscribed to a Bongo Comics digital service if that could have helped keep Bongo Comics alive. I probably would have bought more fucking Bongo Comics. I'm pissed off that they went out of business. That just makes me angry. I fucking miss Bongo Comics, goddammit. And I was all in. I bought a tablet to be my comic book reader. I bought a Galaxy to specifically be my comic book reader. And I used it primarily as a comic book reader. Well, when it wasn't another method of playing Minecraft, because as you all know, I'm fucking obsessed with Minecraft, but we don't want to talk about that. Maybe in a future video. But the DC Universe app has been wonky. The Marvel Unlimited app is basically nobody fucking cares anymore. And Comixology's dead. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. It's just gone. It's been folded into Kindle. And I don't fucking give that flying fuck about. I'll never read an ebook. I have to hold a book in my hands and turn the pages with my fingers in order to read a book. I will not read a book on a tablet or a laptop or a cell phone. Comic book, yes. I would still prefer a physical comic book, which is why at the same time I had a subscription to all three of the digital platforms. I also had subscriptions to my favorite physical print books coming in the mail. Now, the comic apps are a good way to get your hands on out of print, ultra hella expensive back issues, especially first issues and first appearances, and the old golden age shit that you're never going to afford, ever, physical copies of, unless you're fucking Elon Musk, and we don't talk about fucking shitface on this channel. I shouldn't have even fucking said his name. Fuck him. Anyways, moving on. Comic book, digital comics, they're just not, to me, as exciting as they were when I first discovered them. Most of that is because Comixology, rest in peace, is gone. Because when it was an independent app, before Amazon bought it, it was the best way to access digital comics. Bar none, there was no discussion. The other two apps were just like, this is fine for the Marvel back issues and the DC back issues. But no, Comixology is where it's fucking at. You got all the indie stuff. You got all the Dark Horse stuff. You got all the fucking Archie stuff. You got all kinds of shit. And it was really good at doing curated lists and editor's picks and shit like that. Now it's just fucking Kindle. It's like you have to go. It's fuck Amazon. I'm not even talking about it. I'm not because I'm going to have an aneurysm or a stroke. My blood pressure is going to boil. We can't do it. So, to me personally, I'm going to argue no. Digital comics are past their prime. They're past tense. We've moved on. Now, hopefully, we get a big resurgence of print issues and the print comic books can make a comeback. Comic book shops can, thrive again, and maybe some of those printers that were going out of business, maybe they can get, open back up, or some of the ones that are struggling can make a little extra money and not go out of business, because there's too much consolidation in the print business, which is hurting local newspapers and magazines and book publishers and everybody else. It's hurting every fucking body. Even the big guys like Dungeons and Dragons, not TSR, Wizards of the Coast are struggling to print books because there's just not enough printers out there. All the printers, the companies that were printing books, they all went out of business. Not all of them, but a significant number of them did. That it has impacted the print industry. So theoretically, digital comics should have been the future, but nobody fucking figured it out. The motherfucking dipshit greedy bastards who created Comixology sold it out to Amazon, knowing that Amazon was going to destroy their platform and then erase it. God fucking damn it. I'm angry. I'm still angry about that. Anyways, I'm still a fan of digital comics, and I think if that's the way to go, that's the way to go for you. But if you can access or have the money and resources to get your hands on print issues, that's the preferable way to go. Now let's take a detour. This show's going to be about all kinds of stuff, but today we also have a retail topic, and I put retail topic on the list because I want to talk about stuff like GameStop and comic book shops and things like that down the road. But today we're talking about clothes shopping at Target versus Walmart. We're not talking about the box stores. We're not talking about the boutiques or anything like that. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. So let's say you're looking for an outfit for, I don't know, whatever. Maybe you have, a big company picnic coming up and you want to look your best. Or you got to go to a wedding. Your friend is getting married and you got to look your extra best. Or you just want something to feel good because it's springtime and you want to go out and feel good and take a walk in the park, So you're in the market for some new outfits. Let's talk about Target first. Between the two, I will argue Target has the more, what I will call, fancier or higher class clothing, which means it comes with a bigger price tag. Now, it's also, to be fair, higher quality shit. I've bought stuff from Target that I can still wear today that I bought 5-6 years ago. Everything I bought from Walmart has already gone to the recycle bin 6 months after I buy it. So in terms of quality, yes, if you can afford to spend the extra money at Target, you should, because those clothes will, one, look better than what you're getting at Walmart, and two, last longer. But Walmart does have an edge over Target that I like. Walmart knows its customers. It knows that it's catering to the lower class people. They know this. And they know among lower class people, there's a high percentage of quirky motherfuckers. There's a lot of weirdos. Us poor people are often weirdos because we can't afford to be normal. Can't do it. We don't make that kind of money, So we got to survive however we do. So what we do is we go to fucking Walmart because we can save money. The thing I like about Walmart is you can find oddball outfits at Walmart that are just fucking crazy that you can't get at Target. Target caters to the whims of the fashion industry. Walmart doesn't give a fuck. They're like, no, we don't care what the fashion industry is doing. We're just going to fucking cater to our weirdos because we know who our audience is, who our demographic is. We know who's buying our shit. So you can get some really neat quirk, especially if you're like me, if you're a pagan and you're witchy, you can get more witchy style Halloween-esque outfits at Walmart, than you can Target. The only time you can get good witchy stuff at Target is during the month of October and a little bit in the lead up in September. The rest of the year, fuck it. You ain't going to find anything a witch would be caught dead wearing in public at Target. So I would say shop at Target if you're looking for more fashionable clothing and higher quality clothing that's going to last longer. But if you want fun, less expensive clothing, affordable clothing They might not last long, but it'll be fun for a couple of months. Shop at Walmart. All right, we got a video game topic. We brought up the news a little bit at the top of the show, but I wrote this list of our topics down like 2 weeks ago when I was planning to bring this show back. So it's just coincidental timing, but that happens to me a lot. You could argue I'm pseudo-psychic, but we're not going to get into that. This is predicting the Switch 2 or Pro Switch. What are my predictions for the... Excuse me. Sorry. Can't pause a live stream. I apologize for that. Anyways, what are my predictions for the Switch 2 or the Pro Switch? Well, if you've known Nintendo as intimately as I have and been with them as long as I have, you know they're not fucking predictable. However, I have been very good in the past at spotting the patterns and getting inside Nintendo's weird-ass brain because I'm a weirdo. And I've come close a couple of times. I did predict the Switch was going to be what it was. Not exactly, but I knew they were going to make a handheld that would also be their like home console, like the hybrid. Because they almost did it with the Wii U, and I knew that was the next logical step. Initially, I thought they were just going to make a gaming tablet that had an HDMI out you could hook up to your TV. So I was close to predicting this Switch, but I'm not going to say I predicted the Switch. I'm not going to say that. I was way off with the Wii. I was expecting an HD console with 100 gigabyte hard drive and a fucking basically souped up Wavebird with maybe a touchscreen in the middle as like the big innovation they were teasing, that the controller was going to change the game. That was what I predicted, as most Nintendo fans predicted at the time. Boy, were we fucking wrong. When Nintendo announced the Wii U, there was nothing to predict because there was no build up. There was no build up to it. It was just like, oh, by the way, this is the Wii U and it's coming out at this point. And we were like, but what is it? Is it a tablet? Is it an upgrade for the Wii? Is it a new console? Tell me more, Nintendo. And they were like, yes, $350 retail. And we were like, okay, tell me more. And they were like, we hope and optimistically expect third-party partners to take a look at the Wii U. Yeah, their optimism was very short-lived. I did accurately predict the Wii U was going to be a flop. I knew that as soon as I saw it. I was like, no one's going to fucking buy that. I mean, I will, because at the time I was a diehard Nintendo nut, and I would have bought anything they put out. But I was like, no, not interested. I didn't come anywhere close with predicting the DS. I expected the successor to the GBA to be more like the SP, clamshell, which the DS was. And I expected it to have built-in internet capabilities. That was all I expected from the successor to the GBA. We mostly got that. I had no idea it was going to have dual screens. I had no idea that it was going to have touchscreen. So I was a little bit off on that. So the Switch 2, previously, like a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have continued to insist that the Switch 2 was just going to be a souped-up gaming tablet with attachable Joy-Cons and an HDMI out, and they would have abandoned the dock thing, and they would have gone full tablet and made some more like Nintendo-y apps like they did on the, like the channels they had on the Virtual Console on the Wii, like the Weather Channel, the News Channel, the Wii, the Me Channel, stuff like that, which they have not done enough of on the Switch, in my opinion. So I was expecting, or was up to that point, I was expecting that's what Nintendo was going to do. Basically, like a souped-up Galaxy that had Joy-Con attachments with HDMI out and a little bit more powerful than the Switch. I would say probably on par with the PS4 Pro in terms of processing and GPU power. and maybe some quirky apps that would have been like, yeah, this is definitely a Nintendo thing. I don't think that's what they're doing anymore, because Nintendo's president or somebody recently came out and said, don't expect the Switch successor to be all that different from the Switch. So now I'm basically just predicting a Switch Pro. It's just going to be the Switch, fully backwards compatible, with a slightly faster CPU, probably akin to the leap between GameCube and Wii. So probably like maybe 2.5 times faster than the Switch. And the GPU probably a little bit more. So I'm instead of PS4 Pro level of graphics and CPU power, I'm gonna dial it down to PS4 level, base PS4 level of CPU and graphics. That's what I'm predicting for the Switch 2 or Switch Pro or whatever, the Super Switch, whatever they actually end up calling it. Who fucking knows at this point? Nintendo could call it anything because they're weird. Their naming conventions make even less sense than Microsoft's. But whatever, it is what it is. I'm not going to try to predict what games will come out for the Switch because that's too easy. Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda. Their franchises are going to be on the Switch too. We know this. I mean, fucking Pokemon, they're all going to be there. At launch, what's going to be there at launch? I'm expecting I'll predict 3 games. You can write this down. Put it in the comments as a record. I'll predict 3 games. There will be, most likely, a franchise we've never heard of. Brand new IP. That's going to happen. Mark my words. That will happen. Number 2 will be something in the Mario side quests. What I mean by that is there probably won't be a mainline Odyssey, Galaxy type game, like a flagship Mario game, but there may be like a new Super Mario Brothers game or a Mario versus Rabbids type game or something like, like one of the off Mario games will most likely be there day one at launch. And the third one is going to be some sort of retro themed game, some kind of NES remix type, Nintendo Land type game that, plays on the warm fuzzies, something that reminds you of whatever it was that got you into Nintendo in the first place. I know that's a little vague. I'm not giving like hard predictions because that's too hard. There won't be a Zelda at launch. Will Metroid Prime 4 be there at launch? Not on day one, but I will suggest or hypothesize probably within quarter one of its release. Probably. They're going to get it out quickly. They're going to have to. That's as much of a prediction as I'm willing to make in regards to the Switch 2. Now we got a food topic. And I'll try to have a food topic every episode, every week. This week's topic is corn dogs and fair foods. Now, I've probably already done this as a vlog, but I want to kind of just sort of ramble a little bit. When you go to the fair, the county fair or whatever, your local town festival, peanut festival or fucking whatever, pirate days or whatever your local small town community celebrates once a year. There are certain foods you expect to be there. Mostly, like absolutely 1000% mandatory, are going to be fair corn dogs. These corn dogs are usually deep fried. If you don't have deep fried corn dogs at your fair event, you failed as an organizer. In addition to the corn dogs, you should also have elephant ears. People love those. You absolutely need cotton candy. You should probably have kettle corn, although I will never eat kettle corn. You got to have it for the weirdos that do. The people with broken taste buds, I call them. And you should probably have like your standard, cheeseburger, You should have your standard, like, street tacos. You should definitely have street tacos. Probably something for the vegans, some sort of salad type thing or pita type thing or something. And you absolutely got to have your pink lemonade. Somebody has to be selling fresh squeezed strawberry lemonade. They have to. It's mandatory. It's mandatory. Obviously, my favorite fair food is the motherfucking corn dog, but I love to get a bowl of nachos when I go to the fair. I fucking love nachos. I can eat nachos every day of the, literally every day of the year. Even if I already ate the 4 meals a day that I eat, breakfast, brunch, dinner, and supper. Those are the 4 meals I eat a day. I would still eat nachos in between those meals. I love fucking nachos. Now, fair nachos, they're going to be plain Jane nachos. Chips, cheese, maybe jalapenos, nothing else. They're not giving you onions or black olives. They're not putting beef in it. They're just going to give you plain Jane nachos. But I'm okay with it. As long as it's got melted cheese, I'm happy. If I'm going to get a hot dog, not a corn dog, but a hot dog at a fair type event, I want it to be an all beef dog. Don't give me a fucking chicken dog. Don't give me that weird pork blend. It's got to be beef. And if it ain't beef, I'm not buying your goddamn dog. Also, I want on a hot dog at a fair, bare minimum, ketchup, mustard, pickle relish, and onions. I'd love sauerkraut, but I don't expect sauerkraut to be available at a fair event. But if it is, you're going to get a tip in the tip jar. If it ain't, you're still going to get a tip in the tip jar, but not as big. Let's be real. I tip, even though I'm poor. I used to be a server at a restaurant. I have had several jobs that tips were my paycheck because my asshole boss didn't want to give me a paycheck. But anyways, yeah, fair foods are fucking fun. Let's get into our music topic. Again, I wrote the show notes for this 2 weeks ago. So the pseudo-relevance of this topic is, again, coincidence, but it happened to work out because I wrote down I wanted to talk about Death Row Records and the legacy of G-Funk. Now, I've already done a whole video on this, so I'm not going to rehash what I've already said, and I'm not going to, suck on the Drake cock for too long. But I am going to say this. I fucking love what Death Row Records did for the hip-hop industry. I was there in the 90s. I bought every record they put out. A couple of exceptions, but by and large, mostly every record they put out. I didn't buy most of their soundtracks, and I only bought one of the Dog Pound records. I don't know if RBX ever did a record. Had he done a record, I still wouldn't have bought it back then, but I definitely would now, so I need to look into that. So what are the big Death Row records? And we're gonna start with Death Row before we get into the G-Funk as a whole. Well, the biggest one is Doggy Style. If you're gonna dig into the Death Row catalog and you want the Death Row experience, you have to have Doggy Style. That's fucking mandatory. That's Death Row 101. I know it came out after The Chronic, but it's more accessible to a wider audience than The Chronic. The Chronic is a great record. Don't get me wrong. It's just a very bleak record, and it's hard to revisit unless you're like, yeah, I want to hear some shit. You'll listen to The Chronic. But if you just want a fun, laid back record that's like, yeah, this is a day in the life in the ghetto, but today there were no there is a drive-by and Murder Was the Case, but the rest of the album is pretty chill. The Chronic is not so chill. It's like a bad day in the ghetto. But you should still obviously buy The Chronic as well. That's also a mandatory. If you want the Death Row experience, you gotta have The Chronic. But, prepare yourself emotionally because it's a heavy record. The next one you should absolutely 1000% have if you really want to explore the Death Row experience is obviously All Eyes on Me. You can't get the full experience of what Death Row was without owning and listening to and dissecting and analyzing All Eyes on Me. because it was their flagship record for the longest time and basically their swan song. Those are the big three, basically. Now, I love The Dogfather. I think it's a suitable follow-up to Doggy Style. A lot of people don't like it for whatever reason. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good record. My cat is very needy. He's coming back. He wants to be in the show. So say hi to Buddy. He really wants to be on camera. Come here, Buddy. Come get on camera. Come here. It's okay. Some ancillary records I would recommend if you just want some extra bonus material. The Dog Pound's Dog Food is a good one. And I don't remember the title of the record. I apologize. I haven't listened to it in ages. But the Lady of Rage had a pretty solid record as well. If you're going to dig into their soundtracks, first, don't. But if you have to, Murder Was the Case is the only one you need. You can do without Above the Rim. Murder Was the Case is the soundtrack you need. They did a couple of other soundtracks. All of their soundtracks, more or less, are movies you've never fucking heard of. But they are what they are. Whatever. It is what it is. Those are the ones I think are pretty cool. But what happened to G-Funk outside of Death Row? Because it did explode. So G-Funk went even bigger than just Death Row. Warren G was out there doing his fucking thing. There were a few others. I would argue, some people would call me an asshole for this, I would argue Bone Thugs and Harmony is G-Funk. Come at me in the comments. Warren G, though, dope as fuck. Even though it's not a Death Row record, you still have to own Regulate ... the G-Funk era if you really, really want the G-Funk experience. Because it's like, not only is it like, I would probably argue the second greatest G-Funk album next to Doggy Style, which is like the shit. It's also the one that really like hammers home, look, this is G-Funk, this is what it is, and it lays out the template, and it just fucking smokes the whole goddamn time. It's a goddamn great record. Ice Cube was doing some good G-Funk at the time. I would argue his best, people are going to call me an asshole for this as well, I would argue his best record is War and Peace. It's a double record. But it wasn't released as a double record. It was released part 1, War, and then volume 2, Peace, came later. But still, it works as a double record. WC and Mac 10 had some good stuff, but their best G-Funk era album was Bow Down, when they formed West Side Connection. I highly recommend Bow Down as well. Have we had any G-Funk since the demise of Death Row and basically 2000 on? Have we had any proper legitimate G-Funk? Not so much. We've had some good G-Funk inspired albums from since then, but I haven't heard of any record anybody has been able to point to that says, no, this is still G-Funk, since like probably Machiavelli, the Don Illuminati, or maybe War and Peace. I don't think we've had any legit G-Funk since then. I'm not sure the timeline of when those two albums came out, because I know one of them was 97 and I think the other was 98. So I'm going to say 99 is most likely the last time we had a proper G-Funk album. And I didn't even bring up Master P and No Limit Records. They're basically your Death Row Light. Diet Death Row. They're good. They're still good stuff. You know, Ghetto D is a damn good record. You absolutely should own it. And it is still, in my opinion, G-Funk. And there's some good stuff out there by Silk the Shocker, too. The rest of the No Limit stuff, is if it ain't got Snoop Dogg's name on it or Master P's name on it, it ain't worth your time. And that's just my opinion, obviously, which is most of this show. Do I think G-Funk should make a comeback? Honestly, no. Because time and place. It worked in the 90s, but it don't work today. You know, we're too bombarded with pop culture today. Like, it's fucking everywhere. There's so much shit coming at us with Twitter and the internet and fucking Instagram and YouTube and all this stuff. We're too busy as a society. Things move. There's no time to sit down and enjoy a laid back, mellow album. Slow down, smoke some stuff, and chill. We don't have the time to do that. We don't. We're too goddamn busy as a society. But back in the 90s, all we had on TV was rubbish like Seinfeld or fucking Frasier. And it was like, yeah, I'll just sit down and listen to some G-Funk. I ain't watching fucking Frasier. Fuck you. All right, we're at the end of the show. This is the part where I just get into the random thoughts. I wrote down random thoughts. I want this to just be, whatever comes to my mind. It's going to be 30 minutes of rambling. And I set aside basically, 20 to 30 minutes for this part of the show. So the first ramble I'm going to get into is little buddy here on my lap. He's sitting on my lap and he's a lovey-dovey, and I love him so much. Buddy is my co-star. He'll be popping up in videos from time to time. I have no control over that. He does what he does. He has autonomy, and I respect his boundaries. He don't respect my boundaries, but he's a cat. Respect is not in his repertoire. It's not a word he understands. He doesn't understand words anyways. But anyways, I love him. The second thing I'm going to do is sort of address the what's going on in the chat. So let's take a look at the chat. Somebody said something about Hulk was Mark Ruffalo. Yes, nobody denied that. And somebody else said Mark Ruffalo, a bad actor. I don't know if I would agree with that. I loved him as, I especially loved him in Age of Ultron and Endgame. I think he really shines in those two movies. I'll give you the Hulk was way overused in Ragnarok. I'll give you that. So, not to go down the, let's just have some fun. Not to go down the top, this isn't a top 25 best comic book movies or anything like that. I think I've already done that video. If I haven't, it's on my list. If I haven't already done it, it's definitely coming, but I'm pretty sure I've already done that one. Excuse me. My nose is a little stuffy. I apologize. All right. Move, cat. Move your butt. Anyways. So let's step outside DMC for a second. Let's just talk about, I'll just go through some of my favorite comic book superhero movies. Like I said, this isn't going to be a top 25 because there's going to be way more than 25 movies. But I want to talk about some of the ones I like, and I'll mention passively some of the ones I don't like just for fun. I love Superman 2, Richard Donner-esque, and I have to say esque because it only partially borrows from what he wanted, but then he was, I guess, fired and they replaced him. But anyways, I love Superman 2. I have yet to see their Donner cut, so I can't comment on it. I would suspect I might not enjoy it just because I have so much nostalgia for Superman 2 as is. I don't know if I want to watch a different version of it. I have seen the extended cut of Superman 1, and god damn it, that movie needed to be trimmed 30 minutes from the top in the theatrical cut. It didn't need more rubbish. Too fucking long. Superman 3, that's a thumbs down for me. I don't like it. Superman 4, fuck y'all. I love it. I fucking love it. But I love Canon Pictures. I'm into that cheesy shit. Give me more. Find whoever was responsible for Canon Pictures, whoever bought their catalog, give them a job and make more fucking movies, as long as they're not dead. But if there's anybody left alive that was involved in Canon Pictures, give them a fucking job. Give them a fucking, a bank account with boatloads of money and let them loose. We need more movies like Canon Pictures. I'd probably get shot by some 1989 was rubbish. It ain't. I love it. It's one of my favorite Batman movies. Batman Returns, we'll talk. I'm not a big fan. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm just sort of, I have a interesting perspective on Batman Returns that I actually have a video planned to dive deeper into it. So we'll talk. That's coming later. Batman Forever, best Batman movie of the 90s, best superhero or comic book movie of the 90s. Come at me. Fuck y'all. I love Batman Forever. The Mask, dope as fuck. I love it. Fun as hell. I don't know if it counts as a comic book movie, but as a superhero movie, we'll stretch it a little bit. Dick Tracy, fuck off. The Shadow, give me more of this. I wish it would have got a sequel. The Rocketeer, oh my god, I wish I could erase it from my memory. Blade, pretty good. I've only seen the first one, so I can't comment on the rest. But the first one is a pretty damn good movie. I'm not going to go. I'm going to save you the trouble. I love every one of the X-Men movies. My favorite, fuck y'all. My favorite X-Men movie is The Last Stand. Fuck y'all. It's the best one. I also love Dark Phoenix. I love fucking Jean Grey. In any she's my favorite she's my favorite comic book character in the entire pantheon of comic book characters. So, fuck y'all. Give me more Jean Grey. I don't care if it's a different take on Jean Grey. I want that. I need that. And by the way, there's been so many different takes on Jean Grey, it's impossible to say that ain't true to the comics because nothing is, and everything is at the same time, because she's changed so much, there's no such thing as a, quote, core Jean Grey. So, fuck y'all. Anyways, I liked Spider-Man, Sam Raimi, 2002. I liked Spider-Man 2. And I know I'm going to get shit for this. I liked, didn't love, but I enjoyed Spider-Man 3. It was fun. It was fine. I had some gripes. You know what? I like the emo scene. I love it. That's the cheesy shit I'm looking for. I want more of that, not less of that. That was like the best bit in the movie. I don't get why people hate that. What's wrong with y'all? That's fucking hilarious. And hey, at least we didn't get none of that bullshit, god-awful clone shit in our Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. So, thank the gods for that. Daredevil can eat shit. Ghost Rider can eat shit. Punisher can eat shit. I ain't watching them. Elektra, pretty good movie. Most of these, as you've noticed, are Marvel, but Marvel was doing their thing even back in the day. Never seen Jonah Hex, probably never will. Kick-Ass is really awesome. I love it. Highly recommend it. Kick-Ass 2, I've yet to see. I'm just nervous because I love Kick-Ass so much. I'm just nervous to see what they did with those characters. And I don't have tremendous faith in Jim Carrey being in the film. That makes me really anxious. Some other comic book superhero movies. It's not comic book, but it is superhero. The Matrix, dope as fuck. I love all of them. They're all damn good movies. My favorite Matrix movie, my personal favorite Matrix movie, Reloaded. Hell yeah. Give me more of that. I fucking love the rave scene. I'm a fucking techno nerd. I was a techno producer. I had a record studio. I used to DJ at clubs and parties and high school dances. I'm into that shit. I'm down for that shit. That's my fucking scene. I fucking love Matrix Reloaded. To me, I think it's the best one. I think it's my personal favorite, but I still think it's the best one. Revolutions, I'll give you that. I'm not a fan of Revolutions. I'll watch it. I'll sit through it. I'll enjoy the enjoyable bits. I'll roll my eyes at the unenjoyable bits, but I can get through Matrix Reloaded. Also, not a superhero movie, but absolutely a comic book movie, Ghost World. Go watch it. That's all I'm going to say. You need to see it. If you haven't seen it, go fucking watch it. If you've already seen it, watch it again. Also, not a superhero movie, but absolutely a comic book movie, Mallrats. It's kind of a superhero adventure, a little bit, and it's fun as fuck and fucking hilarious. Very dated, but fucking hilarious. Batman Begins, I really like it. Really, really like it. The Dark Knight, probably my second favorite Batman movie. My favorite Batman movie is always going to be Batman Forever. Come at me. It's always going to be Batman Forever. Now, I didn't talk about Batman and Robin, but it wasn't intentional. I just forgot about it because it's fucking forgettable. Who fucking loves Batman and Robin? Right here. I do. I love it. I love it. Yes, I understand the criticisms. I just dismiss them because it's fucking supposed to be cheesy. Your B movies are supposed to be cheesy. And yes, I classify even the blockbusters. Your comic book movies are B movies, even if they have $100 million budget. I've already talked about the MCU to death, but I'll just kind of go through thumbs up, thumbs down. Iron Man, yeah, sure, thumbs up. First Avenger, fuck no, not interested. Thor, hell yeah, give me more. Iron Man 2, actually okay, not that bad. I'm not a fan of Tony Stark, but I can sit through Iron Man 2. The Avengers, obviously, I love it. All four of them. I'm not gonna go individually. Captain Marvel, I really enjoyed it. Ant-Man, I saw it once. I watched it with my mom, I think. Don't fucking remember a goddamn thing of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. I probably didn't like it because I can't remember it, which means I probably didn't pay attention because it didn't like interest me at all. The 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, God's gift to humanity. Thank you. I want more. Give me a 4th Guardians. I need a 4th Guardians. I love Star Wars. Guardians is this generation's Star Wars. I'm sorry, it is. It just is. Haven't seen the Black Panthers yet. Haven't seen the Marvels or any of the new stuff. Not by like on purpose or anything. There's just so much out there. They're just like, the side movies. I just haven't gotten through all the side movies yet. I did watch Civil War in the theaters. Fucking love it. I did watch The Winter Soldier in the theaters. I'll say it. It's been said. Everybody says it. The Civil War, or excuse me, the Winter Soldier is the best MCU movie. The Winter Soldier is the second best comic book movie ever made. The Dark Knight being the best. Not my favorite, mind you, Batman movie, but the best Batman movie. It is what it is. Superman Returns, eat shit. I ain't interested. The Man of Steel, haven't seen it yet. Justice League, I fell asleep. I'm sorry. I will not watch the Snyder Cut. If I fell asleep during the 2-hour version, I ain't watching the 6-hour version. God damn it. Batman v Superman, I fucking loved it. I watched it in theaters. I left like, hell yeah, that was awesome. I enjoyed it. I want more. Loved Wonder Woman to death, but loved 84 even more. I loved Wonder Woman 84. God, why do people shit on all the movies I love? I don't fucking get y'all weirdos. Anyways, I fucking loved Wonder Woman 84. Aquaman, I started it, got bored, turned it off. The Batman came out at the time where I was burned out on comic book movies. Haven't seen it yet. Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, pass. Not a fan. I watched it. I don't get it. First of all, I'm not enamored by the goddamn Joker. The Penguin is my Batman villain of choice. Can they finally, for once, do him right in a movie? I don't know. I haven't seen the Batman yet, but again, we're not talking about Batman Returns right now. We'll come back to that later. I already promised that. That's a video I'm doing later. A full feature video. A full video devoted to Batman Returns. It's coming. It's on the list. What else is there? What else fucking is there? V for Vendetta? No. Ultraviolet? God, no. All those knockoff movies that came out with like Jumper and Push and all those weird fucking... God, no. God fucking no. None of them. Not a one of them. Not the Will Smith one where he was a superhero. None of them. I ain't into that shit. What else is there? What else is there? I don't know. That's enough superhero discussion. Let's move on to something else. Puzzles. I had a dream last night. Really weird dream. That I was doing a puzzle. And I was... Okay, so we were moving. My family was moving. And I was really into this puzzle. And my family was like, hey, we have to pack up because we're moving to wherever the fuck we were moving. Because we moved 10 million times when I was a kid. And they were packing up this board game. And I was like, no, that's mine. You can't take that. And my older sister was like, no, that's our family's board game. It's not yours. And I said, Uncle Ed took me to the thrift store. Uncle Ed is my uncle who's dead, by the way. So bear with me. No, he bought that for me. So she's like, all right, let's ask him. So we went to the restaurant where he worked. He was a cook. We went into the back of into the kitchen. And we tried to ask him who he bought it for. And he just started rambling about how fun the game is. And it's for everybody should enjoy it. Blah, blah, blah. And then the dream just magically turned into me and a bunch of friends sitting down at a table playing Dungeons and Dragons. Because that's how dreams work. I did finish the puzzle in the dream, but I never got any resolution on what happened to that board game. So I'm going to go ahead and just make up my own ending and say, I gave the board game to my sister. Fuck it. Why not? Whatever. It wasn't worth it. I had Dungeons and Dragons. I was willing to play that. Dreams are weird. Dreams are fucking weird. My friend is messaging me on the Facebook. I'm just going to see what he says real quick. So give me 1 second. I want to see what he's saying. He shared with me the new trailer for Twisters. I don't feel like watching that on this show, but I'll probably watch it on the Horror Trans podcast because I consider that more of a horror movie. So that podcast is coming later as well. I'm a little behind. The Dark Knight Returns. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped over that. God, I hate that movie. I'll never fucking watch it again. Never. I'll fucking never watch it again. I hate that fucking movie. The Dark Knight Returns can eat shit. I hate The Dark Knight Returns. What else is there? What else do I want to talk about? I don't want to talk about... Let's talk about Xbox real quick. And I'm specifically talking about the original Xbox. I want to talk a little bit about the original Xbox. So, when I first heard about the Xbox, I was damn impressed, and I desperately wanted one. I already had a GameCube at the time, and I was already, like, not interested in PS2 at the time. I was like, no. Well, that's a story for another day. I've already talked about it in a video. You can go look it up. My history of Nintendo video. I talk about how I migrated to PlayStation years later. But at that time, I hated PS2. I wasn't interested in it. I had a GameCube. But I was impressed with the Xbox. I wanted an Xbox. One of my friends had an Xbox. So I had about, I'd say, a dozen friends or so, give or take at the time. The breakup was like 70% of them had a PS2. The one guy had an Xbox. Me and like 2 or 3 others had GameCube. And there were a couple of us that had PS2 and GameCube. Nobody else had the Xbox. Nobody else did. We had the one guy who had the Xbox. I was all in on GameCube, but I've talked about that ad nauseum. So what did I like about the Xbox? Initially, one, it looked fucking awesome. Just the design. It looked like it belonged in my home theater. It looked like a home theater box. Like, like a DVD player or a Laserdisc player or something, a Betamax player, something fucking awesome. A dual cassette tape deck, an equalizer. It just looked like it belonged in my home theater. It needed to be there. I loved the design of it. I have big hands. I liked the Xbox controller because it wasn't puny like the little itty bitty baby PS1, PS2 controller, which are made for kindergartners. And I don't understand why they can't just make them a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger. But also, I love the layout and the design and the hefty feel of the Xbox controller. It just felt like a controller. It felt like it belonged in your hands, and I loved it. I was not that impressed with the games library again at the time, but there was one game that stood out above the rest that I wanted so bad that when I found out it was on PC, I upgraded my PC in order to be able to buy it and play it, and that was Fable. Now, I did the same thing with Halo. I was also, I'll be honest with you, I was impressed with the original Halo. I bought it, I played it, I had fun with it. And I also enjoyed Halo 2. But I was over it by the time Halo 3 came along. I was, all right, that's enough. Let's move on to something else. And Microsoft never did. So I was like, all right, fuck y'all. It had some good, solid, like PC style games, which I loved, because you really didn't get that on the GameCube. There were a lot of games on the Xbox that you probably couldn't run on the GameCube, either due to the technological differences or the fact that it wasn't really internet enabled. And yes, I did buy into at the time, the Xbox being the spiritual successor to the Dreamcast. Although I was not at all, I've talked about this, a fan of the Dreamcast. I don't hate it, but I didn't love it. But we're not talking about Dreamcast. But I did enjoy the Xbox, the original Xbox. Now, I never bought one when it was a contemporary hardware console in the wars on the market at the time it was being manufactured. I bought my very first original Xbox in 2013. Long ass time after it was done, gone, and buried and forgotten. And I bought about 50 to 60 games, give or take a game or two for it. I had a bunch of games for it. I mostly made it a point to only buy Xbox exclusives. I didn't want games that I could get on GameCube or PS2 because I already had a GameCube. I had the game. If it was on GameCube, I had it. And if it was on Xbox and PS2, I was fine with the PS2 version. I wanted games that felt like Xbox games, exclusives, the games that were made for Xbox. And I had about 50 to 60 of them, which, by the way, there's way more Xbox exclusives than people give it credit for. A lot of people say there was Halo, Fable, and nothing else. That's bullshit. There was a lot else, actually. But anyways, I loved the mech games. I don't remember what they were called, but I played the mech game that was on the Xbox, and I fucking loved it. I know it wasn't Mech Warrior, but I can't remember what. Mech Assault, maybe? Something like that? I don't remember, but it was fucking dope. I love mech games, and we don't get enough good mech games today. It's like a dead genre for some reason. Mech Assault. Okay, thank you. I also like the one that was on 360. I think it was called Lost Planet. Something like that. Fucking awesome. I love mech games. Give me more mech games, goddammit. Where the fuck is Titanfall a mech game? I have Titanfall 2 on PS4. I guess that's a mech game, I've heard. I haven't played it yet, but I have it. I need to get a new hard drive for my PS4 because I'm full up. I've filled up I have like 25 games in my library I can't play because there's no more room on my hard drive to install games. And I have not had much success finding a compatible hard drive because it's so goddamn finicky. I don't know what is wrong with the hard drives I'm trying. The PS4 is just a bitch. It's like, no, I want this hard drive that checks all these boxes. And I'm like, well, I checked 6 of the boxes, just not the other 2. God damn it. I don't know what is the deal with that. But as soon as I do get an additional storage for my PS4, I will definitely try Titanfall. It is high on my list of games I want to try. And there's nothing on my hard drive I can delete. There's nothing on my hard drive I can delete because I've already done that. I've deleted everything I can. There's no more, and I can't afford the digital service. What is it? PlayStation Plus for the to back up my files and stuff on the in the cloud, as they call it. I can't afford it. So I definitely need, at the bare minimum, a USB flash drive, at least 500 gigabytes, which I don't have the money for right now. I'd like to get a USB powered solid state drive, but I don't know if I can afford that either. I ain't got the money for a PS5 right now. While we're on the subject of consoles and Xbox, because I was ranting about the original Xbox, I'll just go through the thumbs up, thumbs down. Xbox 360, thumbs up. Xbox One and everything after it, thumbs down. PS3, thumbs up with a caveat. You have to get a hard drive for it. You have to. Because you're buying the PS3 for the retro games. Because the contemporary games for the PS3 are, you're better off getting the 360 version most of the time. And the exclusives, every one of them has been remade on the PS4. So there's no justifiable reason to play the inferior PS3 version of any game that was ported to the PS4. The PS4 version is the one to play. Obviously, the PS4 is a big old thumbs up for me because I've already done a video how it's my forever console. It's basically the console I've invested in. I'm an old timer, so I'm not buying new consoles. Nothing new. I'll never own anything that came after the PS4, except maybe I get another Switch someday. Maybe I get a Switch 2 or whatever it's called, if it's 100% backwards compatible with the Switch. Otherwise, I'll just get a Switch as soon as I can find one at a fair price that I can manage. Until then, I'm not buying any other consoles. GameCube, fucking love it. That's a major ass thumbs up. The Wii, I don't talk about the goddamn Wii. I have animosity towards the Wii. I fucking hate it. But I love the Wii U. I love it. That's a big old thumbs up. 5 stars for me. So I know I'm weird. I am that weirdo that doesn't like what everybody else likes. That's interesting. I didn't know that. In that case, I may need to get a 1 terabyte hard drive. As far as like online games, I don't play them at all. Single player or competitive. If it requires the internet to play, I don't fucking play that game. That doesn't mean I don't have internet. I just don't pay for the services, and I don't play online games. I want single player offline games. I want a game I can play during a thunderstorm when the internet's out. Because I live in a place where there are going to be thunderstorms. The internet is going to go out. It's going to happen, and I want to be able to play a video game when that happens. But also, I want to be able to take my laptop to the lake and play a video game when I'm bored after I've done the swimming and fishing thing, and I need to, chill for a bit, let my body rest when I go camping. But other than that, yeah, I'm a big fan of video games by and large. But I'm going to be honest with you, the last, I will say, era where I was fully invested and I was buying games every fucking chance I could get and playing every game that came out was the GameCube. The GameCube was for me, it was the last great video game console. Nothing has lived up to the GameCube, in my opinion, since. Nothing. Do you think this is the last or second to last generation that will use discs? Oh my God, that is a tough one. I definitely think 100% PS6 is going to use discs. 100%. Whatever Microsoft 13, Xbox 13 or whatever the fuck they call it. Fuck, at this point, they'll just call it the Xbox. So let's put a "the" in front of it and call it the Xbox. At this point, I don't fucking know. The next Xbox, I don't think will have discs. I don't think it will. I think Microsoft is over discs. Laptops don't have discs anymore, by and large, which sucks. I don't know about desktops because I ain't bought a desktop in a while. long ass while. Will PS7 use discs? I'm going to go with probably not. Probably not. But I have to put this out there. Yes, I 100% believe the PS6 will have discs. I also 100% believe, like the X and S, there will be a PS6 version that doesn't have discs. I 100% believe that. I'm not even going to speculate on what the Switch is. They could put their games on bubblegum sticks or fucking trading cards or fucking pogs. I don't know what Nintendo's going to do. Nintendo does their own goddamn thing. They're not predictable. I do expect eventually everything will be digital only, even Nintendo, eventually. But I don't think we're quite there yet. But we're getting close. We are definitely getting close. No, I think the Switch 2 needs to have a cartridge slot in order to be fully compatible with the Switch 1. Because there's a ton of games that are only on cartridge on the Switch. And like I said, if the Switch 2 is 100% compatible with the Switch, which means a cartridge slot that plays Switch games, I'll consider buying one. Maybe not at launch, but I'll save up for it or pre-order it and make payments or whatever I got to do. But if it doesn't, I'll just buy a used Switch at a yard sale one of these days. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I am not a 100% physical person. I love collecting CDs and laser discs and Betamax tapes and all this weird shit. But my go-to is digital. I watch my movies on my laptop. My laptop does not have a disk drive. My laptop does not have a functional GPU, so it cannot, it's not HDCP compliant, so I cannot watch copy-protected discs, which is all of them, basically. So I can't watch my thousands of DVDs I have on my laptop. So the DVDs I reserve for watching in the bedroom on the PS4 when I'm in the mood. If I'm in the mood for a movie, I'm just going to watch a digital file on my laptop, or I'm going to stream it from Tubi. As far as video games go, let's go back to PS4 real quick. I own about 50 or so actual discs. I also have about 30 or so games that are digital only. My Minecraft is digital only. I bought the digital Minecraft. Now, I do have the original Minecraft PS4 edition on disc, but my disc broke. So I can't play it anymore. It's got a crack in it. It won't. The PS4 won't read it anymore. And that game's hard to come by. And I couldn't play it without getting a second PS4 that isn't connected to the internet, because as soon as it auto updates, it erases the PS4 edition, and you're stuck with Bedrock Edition anyways. So I'd have to buy a used second PS4 that I don't connect to the internet to be able to play that disc, and I just don't have the time or money or patience for that shit. I've fully adapted to Bedrock. I'm 100% a Bedrock person. So much so that I refuse to watch YouTubers that play Java Edition. God damn it. Get off of Java, god damn it. Just switch to Bedrock already. I wish Microsoft would fucking kill Java Edition, god damn it. I'm fucking over it. Java doesn't exist anymore. Nobody needs Java on their fucking computers. You should not be pushing Java Edition anymore, god damn it. I hate it. I hate that it exists, and I hate that it's the most popular, and I hate that people like it. I want it to die. But whatever. If you like it, enjoy it, I guess. Just don't expect me to be rooting for you or watch your YouTube channel. The only big YouTuber that streams Bedrock Edition is that British guy, and I forgot his name. He's the only one I'll watch. I think it's like something cat. Something cat. I can't remember. Can't remember his name. Do you think these companies will do a disc to digital thing when they try to go all digital, or just tell people to kick rocks? No, I don't think they're going to give a shit. They're not going to give a shit at all. There might be some third-party deal with like GameStop where you can take your disc in and they can if you pay like $1 or $2, give you access to the digital version, kind of like how Walmart did for Voodoo back in the day. I don't know if they still do it, disc to digital like Walmart did, but it'll be a partner. It'll be a retailer that does it for all of them. It won't be the individual. I don't think it'll be the individual companies doing it. It ain't going to be Microsoft. Microsoft has made it goddamn clear they are like pissed off that discs are still a thing. They don't want discs. They don't give a fuck about discs. They think people who buy discs are idiots. They literally think that. So Microsoft will not do that kind of service. Absolutely not. Sony will probably only do it, like I said, through a third party, like probably GameStop, which may be the one thing besides fucking Funko Pops that keeps GameStop in business in the next 10 years. But whenever the Funko Pop craze does eventually die out, which it probably won't, but it could, GameStop is going out of business when that happens. That's the end of story for GameStop. Because that's literally the only reason I go into GameStop today is to buy Funko Pops. I don't even look at their video game selection because they don't have a video game selection. You know, my fucking dollar store has more video games for sale than fucking GameStop does. Fuck GameStop. Fuck them. God damn it. Now, if said service I just described is a thing, if it does become a thing, it will not support it. Nintendo will have nothing to do with it. That'll be the one that they will not. Sony and Microsoft will be like, fine, you can do it. We'll give you the like license or whatever. You can do it. You have to develop the technology yourself, but they'll play nice to an extent. Nintendo will be like, fuck you, buy the cartridge or buy the digital. We don't care. But whichever one you buy, you're stuck with. That's what Nintendo is. Nintendo's going to force you to buy the game 7 times anyways. They are. They're going to make you buy it again and again and again and again. That's what they do. That's the biggest gripe I have with Nintendo and why I will never, ever pay for Super Mario World again. Because at this point, I've given Nintendo at least $100 in rebuying Super Mario World. I'm not doing it again. That game ain't worth it at this point in time. It ain't worth it. All right. I did say that this would be roughly a 2-hour show, and this random thoughts segment is kind of winding down. So I'm going to say goodbye and thank you all for watching. And, you know, the standard like, subscribe, and please leave a comment. Thank you.